So what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the RPK and how I like to have mine set up. This is going to be set up more specifically for third person. You don't need to have any type of scope on your third person weapons, as you guys know. There's really no need for it unless you just like first person. But if you're a third person shooter and want to stay in third person, you just stay off of it. And I'm telling you, I never use it, and this thing can just laser beam people no matter how far they are. You can laser them down, as you guys are seeing in this gameplay. It's probably one of the most accurate LMGs in the game, and if you spec it right, it's the most powerful. And I wouldn't be surprised in the near future if they actually drop this one down a little bit to be a little bit more competitive with the other guns, because most people are running the RPK, whether you're running first person or third person like you see on this channel. So what we'll do now is let's dive into it so you can see how I have mine spec'd out. So let's start off with the laser, right? So for the laser, we are running the Slagger laser, and the reason I like this one is because it gives us that aim down sight speed that we're gonna actually lose on some of our other attachments. And while this is important in first person, for me it's not that important in third person. I hardly ever focus on this if I'm running like an AR SMG. But when you are running something like an LMG, I feel like this is something that you do want to spec into a little bit to help you improve, especially if you're using the LMG as your primary. So this one's gonna give you that aim down sight speed with no cons, and that's what I like about it. So we have the TAC 597 barrel. Now this is a great one because it gives us damage range, it gives us that bullet velocity, it gives us that movement speed, and it gives them hip fire actually. So a lot of really good benefits. We do lose a little bit of recoil control and hip recoil control, but don't worry about it. We'll actually set that up with some of our other attachments. But one thing I do want you to see right here, you see that negative aim down sight speed? Well, what do we just get from the laser? So this one kind of writes it off right here. Now, if you do want to tune this one, what I usually do for this one, since we don't have to worry too much about aim walking speed, I actually put the recoil steadiness all the way to the top. And then for the bottom one, I like to keep the aim down sight speed and damage range the same on this one. I don't really want to mess with that, but the recoil steadiness is definitely way better than aim walking speed. You don't have to worry about the aim walking speed at all. For the muzzle, we are running the ZLR Talon. Now this is going to give us that bullet velocity, the damage range, recoil smoothness, and sound suppression. Now we do lose a little bit of the aim walking speed, which you don't have to worry about too much, the aiming stability, and the aim down sight speed. So that's why it's key to actually put something, because if you start putting too much negative aim down sight speed on LMGs, you can kind of feel it even in third person. But since we do have that laser that's giving us the pro and no cons, kind of makes up for this, and we only have right now one aim down sight speed, and you'll notice the difference by just running that laser and then running these attachments. Now for the shark fin, we are running aiming idle stability, and that's it. Nothing else you need on this one. And I don't even have any tuning on this because I don't want to mess with the aim down sight speed, the recoil stabilization. You do have the aim walking speed at the bottom. So if you really want to, you could put the aiming idle stability and you can move it all the way to the right. But that one doesn't really affect too much. So I would kind of just leave this one alone and not tune it at all. The same thing with the muzzle. I didn't tune that one at either because the recoil smoothness, aim down sight speed, you don't want to mess with that. And then you have aiming idle stability and bullet velocity. This is one that you can drift over to the right. And the reason why I do say that is because you do have the other one that's giving you aiming idle stability, right? You're already gaining for it. So that's what you guys can do there. So I probably would put this one right about here. I don't want to lose too much of that aiming stability, but you remember, you're going to gain it back from running just the shark fin, right? Because if you look at the shark fin, it just gives us aiming idle stability. And you look here, so we should be good there. You look here, this is what we have. So good there, and I'm just not gonna touch this one and leave this. If you really want to, the aim walking speed, you really don't need that. So you could like throw this all the way over to the right and just kind of forget about the aim walking speed, because truthfully, a lot of times you are just running, right? Like sometimes you're walking, but it's not really gonna benefit you. So since you gained all the way over there, you could probably push this one all the way over here and kind of just, but I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm not gonna put too much, and that's kind of how I run mine. And then the final, we have the high velocity rounds. And I honestly think this is like key for a lot of your harder hitting weapons. That bullet velocity, you do lose a little bit of damage range, and I wouldn't even tune it here because you really don't want to mess with any of this. You want to keep that recoil about balance, and you want to keep that bullet velocity and damage range balance too. And the reason why is because you're seeing in the gameplay, when I'm hitting shots, it's like a laser beam, and you really don't want to mess that up at all in game. A lot of people like running optics. You don't need to run an optic in my opinion, in third person. I just like, it's just so easy to aim in third person with third person. If you're a third person shooter, you probably like it better that way anyway. So for me, I honestly don't have an optic on my LMG. If I want to run an optic, I run it on a sniper. But yeah, for the LMG itself, I try to run nothing, and I'm telling you, this thing is amazing. I kind of, and that's how I have mine set up. That is honestly how I have mine set up. And let me show you the rest of the class setup so you can see it. I do have the X13 auto, but honestly, I always just try to pick up AR off the ground, like the M13, and then I just drop this right off the bat. Flash grenade, frag grenade, and then for the perk package, I personally like double time, tracker. I think those are very key. And then we have spotter, and then ghost. Though that is kind of, the Spectre is kind of my go-to. I know a lot of people don't really like ghost as much anymore, because as soon as you start shooting, you're detectable, right, by a UAV. So it's kind of hit or miss, right? But I still think this is probably one of the better ones, at least for my play style, because I do like moving around a lot, and I do like flanking. And if I'm not shooting, and I have my ghost ultimate perk active, well, it kind of helps me out. So for me, that's how I personally like mine, but that's really up to you which one you like. But that is how I run my setup right there, guys. The RPK is my go-to, and this thing, until they bring it down a little bit, they nerf it a little, this is probably going to be one of the meta weapons in Warzone 2.0 for quite a while. So once they do tone this down, we'll come back and see what other meta weapons are out there. I definitely use a lot of the LMGs because I just like having those rounds. But we're gonna wrap up the video here, guys. Hey, thanks for the support. Thanks for enjoying these videos. Remember, if you guys want to see anything else Warzone, check out my Warzone 2 playlist. If you want to see something from Modern Warfare third person, check out that playlist. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this one. Don't forget to subscribe for more. See you guys in the next one. Hey, Nothing But Skills out.